Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Anagram Podcast, Anoint Enraged. I'm Lava Sack Knots, and
Thank
okay,
you, Dr. Assless No-Cock. I'm Dino the Genetic Marvel.
okay, yeah. So, welcome to Generation Dan. I'm Atlas. That that intro brought to you by Joey from the Square Table Degenerates. Lava Sack Knots, which is an anagram of Atlas Novak. So.
It's a question of how high was he when he was like, I'm waiting, I'm bored, and I'm going to figure this out. And like,
Yeah.
realistically, I'm impressed, Joey. I'm impressed. So as per our thumbnail, we are talking about, we used to party. Atlas, I know you're a nerd.
Mhm.
And now I'm a convert. I'm a new nerd. I'm a lifelong dork, but definitely a loser now. And it feels weird when I hear people talking about partying, because I'm like, you guys don't know how to party. It's not. It's just ridiculous.
Elevating endothermic. That's an anagram of your name, by the way. Nerds are cool. I guess they are.
Nerds are cool. She would say that. Come on.
She's your wife, man. Okay,
well,
so
she loves studying. She's like, I learned something new today. I'm like, gross. It sounds horrible.
see, I was part of the latter half of the millennials where being a nerd started to become cool near the end of high school for me, and it wasn't
two
quite
straps
there.
on your backpack, right? No one strap, two straps on your backpack.
Yeah,
right?
two straps.
Yeah.
You could do the two straps.
Good posture.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah. No. Like but they would say like, oh, it's cool to be a nerd, except it kind of wasn't. Like watching anime was still not cool when I was in high school. It is now ish.
See, the problem is that I like with anything, whenever something becomes popular, it starts to get way different than its origin, right? Like when anime first started, you're like, it was so much more, and now you're like, things are just absolutely crazy. But at the same time, why you have a smirk on your face? What did you find out?
So Katie just messaged me because she goes, had to talk to my mom because the bill for the place where we're getting married is a large amount of money.
Yeah.
And then I go, oh my god, stole emoji. What happens now? And then she sends me the gif of the little girl like from the could you fucking not gif. And then, oh, what do you mean? Now we get married. And then follows that up with the Obama shrugging.
Hey, listen, that's yeah. You know what? There's the weird part is that a lot of people, like I was reading about this, as someone who has had to have two weddings, I'll tell you, it was a lot of planning and everything. And now that I'm hearing like people are like, I borrowed $50,000 for my party, and you're like, number one, that's insane. And number two is if you have to borrow for the party, have a smaller party. That's simple. That's very, very cut and dry.
It's let's say it's about 2/3 of half of that. If you want to do the math,
2/3 of half of that. Okay, yeah, that's a good price. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that was around what we did. For the second one, the first one was 420 people. So,
okay, no, ours is like 103, I think, at this point.
Listen, when Victoria and I got married, we had 175 people, and maybe I think 176, but a few of them were kids, which I'm like, that's fine. Just charge me like they were adults, because our minimum for adults was 175, and I was like, kids are welcome, and people were like, I'm not bringing my kids. I'm gonna get fucked up. I'm like, oh, that's fine too. Because we had our wedding was in an old Art Deco theater.
Where?
An old Art Deco theater.
Yeah.
If anyone's watching, the Eglinton Grand, it's a beautiful place. A buddy of mine now, he's going to get married there in October.
Sweet.
The cool part was like they have everything already set up, so you just kind of have to plug in. You pay the fee, and it's included. Like you have an audio tech, you have a light tech. They do all the stuff. You just tell them these are the colors I want. This is what I want. They're like, no problem. And the best part was we played 3 movies during the thing. Victoria tests, but we actually played 3 movies during the evening. I don't remember what the first 2 was, but the last one was they had just released the What is this? I just invited the neighborhood for my wedding. It was like a temporary bar. I need a head count thing. It's funny when poor
I've
people say
seen
that.
his neighborhood too. That's like,
Dodgy.
geez, a little dodgy. Yeah.
For sure. A lot of potato salad with raisins, I'm sure. But no, but like, so we
That's
had,
like such a
yeah.
weirdly specific insult. I love it.
Well, hey.
Yeah.
That was the best part. Like the third movie we had was Return of the Dark Knight,
Okay.
which if anyone knows, that is the first time it was a graphic novel by Alan Moore that was released in the early 80s. And it
Mm-hmm.
was the first time that Batman was referred to as the Dark Knight. So right then he changed. We actually got Mr. Chicken. I can't knock that, bro. That's a fair. Like there are people now who have like just a lineup of food trucks, and I'm like, that, bro, that's killer. I love it. You know. So that being said, at the around like 1:30, everyone had gone except everyone who was just drinking. So
Mm-hmm.
nobody was dancing. And I told the DJ, I'm like, you can wrap it up. And then I was like, hey, can you guys turn the volume up for the movie? And they're like, yeah, we can do that. So turn the volume up, and we were watching Batman Return of the Dark Knight, and everyone who was working, because they're just cleaning up, right?
Yeah.
But it was like everything was done fairly early. So it was like
Mm-hmm.
we were done by 2 o'clock. And people trying just stopped and sat down. They're like, God, this is a badass movie. I'm like, I know, it's a great movie. We actually had all the movies running, even while we were doing speeches with subtitles.
Yeah.
We had a cartoon. We had, I forget, it was three good movies. It was a great time. But
I don't know how I feel about having the movie run in the background of like the speeches and things like that. Because have you ever done a show at a bar and like they have the game on or
yeah,
whatever? So like people are trying to do the material and they're like, it's the fucking World Cup or whatever. We're not gonna watch you.
well,
Like,
we had it one. This wedding will be on a terrace, so for sure.
no, it's all inside. Like we're what you would call indoorsy,
Yeah,
Joey.
Joey,
Yeah,
trust me, there'll be a terrace.
yeah.
It'll be where everyone's been smoking, getting high. I'm gonna get high there. Are you kidding?
Yeah, probably. Are you? I will come find you.
Oh
Bring
yeah,
you somewhere. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Good.
No, no.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
oh, I have a special request. Maybe this is possible. I don't know. Do you know what an Irish car bomb is?
Yes.
Like not
No,
physically, but the drink.
no, not the like thing from the Troubles. I mean, like the
Okay,
drink,
you know
the
what a
Irish
drink is.
Carver.
Okay.
Yes.
Do
Okay.
you have you had it? Do you enjoy it?
I've had it. We've been over this. How hard liquor hits me. So like,
Yeah, yeah.
um, like it's
You know what?
it's pretty tasty for what it is.
I always found it like
Yeah.
chocolate. So I actually got it was one year we were in London, England, and
Mhm.
it was my birthday, and one of Victoria's relatives was like, "Yo, I'll take Dino out." We went to a bar, and he's like, "What do you want to drink?" I'm like, "Irish car bomb," and people were like, "What? What's an
Yeah.
Irish car bomb?" I'm
Well, because
like,
you got to drop one thing into another. That's the
"Exactly."
yeah,
Which these people were young and they were dancing and stuff,
yeah.
and I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm here to get shit faced." So they tried it and they're like, "That's gross," and I'm like, "I'll have everyone else's." So I just dropped 5 car bombs, and I was like, "Woohoo!"
No.
Uh,
Oh my
even
god.
even so, speaking about partying, last night a buddy of mine, his band, he has a cover band, shout out to Trash Panda,
That's the name of the band.
and the mascot is, it looks like Rocket playing a guitar, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's pretty fucking cool.
That
So
that is a way fucking better name for a cover band than obvious plagiarism. That's
right, and you know what, and they actually did a really good job. So I was there hanging out, and the funny thing is there was a bunch of guys from my lodge too, and we normally would go out and we would drink after lodge.
Mhm.
So we would usually, like, depending on the night, we would also do other stuff, and like, and then it was like, let's have a couple rounds of car bombs, and then we would take turns paying for a round of car bombs.
Yeah.
And like then like 8 car bombs later, you're like, oh, this is gonna be a dicey drive home. You know, and that's, you know, not responsible, but entertaining. So that's why I'm like, are we gonna have car bombs at your wedding? Because I would chip in for that.
It's a limited like bar menu in terms of the like room where the reception is, but the place just has a bar in the
Even better.
lobby. So
Nice.
like during the cocktail hour and stuff, you can
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Um
All right.
and then also during the for the like rehearsal
Yeah.
dinner, there's a costume contest and then the winner gets their bar tab cleared. Um Yeah.
Listen, my liver enzymes just came back to normal. I am ready to party. Okay? So
Yeah.
that's a real thing. So yeah.
But yeah, actually, there used to be this bar in LA called the Karma Lounge in Koreatown, and it was right next to the train. So I would always, because this was back when I was living with my mom, I could get on the train and then just go there, get wasted, and take the train back and like sober up on the way home. But the bartender there, shout out to Alice wherever you are. She made a drink called a Netflix and Chill, which is kind of like an Irish car bomb. But the point was that there's something like one half of it involved Bailey's, so that was the chill, and then one half of it had grenadine as part of it, so that's the Netflix, and then drop it in there, and like it was really good. I asked her about it like 2-3 years later. She's like, I don't fucking remember, dude. It's been way too long.
Listen, it's your job to remember, okay? Bartender's job is to be consistent and everlasting. Once a bartender, always a bartender. You could become a doctor. You're like, yeah, but I was a bartender. You're like, you're gonna mix a drink while we're doing the surgery. Might as well do your set in the forest.
In the forest if the game's on.
Bro,
yeah.
So Raptors were in the playoffs and they were on, and people were like, okay, we're gonna wait until the game's done and then we'll go. And I'm like, hey man, if they win, no one wants to see comedy. If they lose, nobody definitely wants to watch comedy. And
yeah, exactly.
Like, no, it'll be fine. It was not funny. It was brutal. Responsible yet entertaining. That should be a tattoo. I feel like that would be like his face tattoo, like responsible yet entertaining, like right just underneath the eyeball, like that. You know.
See, Katie has 2 tattoos, and I keep telling myself that I should get something someday, but I don't even know what I would get. Like it's not a like, oh, I'm afraid of needles, or oh, I think tattoos are morally reprehensible. I don't know what the fuck to get, man. Like,
let's be clear, it is both of those things, but as well as we're not sure what to get.
Yeah. I always give 3 figures in cash in the card. Does he mean like for the bar tab or like?
No, just no. As your as the WAPs say, boosta. No, just as your envelope. Like, look, that's like one of the things where yeah, you have to give like the way I was raised was $100 a person. That's a fair thing.
Yeah.
The problem is now things have gotten a little crazy. I had one guy who's like, oh, it's like $300 a person. I'm like, number one, I'll just send you $300. Get fucked. I'm not gonna waste my like, especially somebody if I don't like them. I'm like, oh, I'm not doing that. Right? So
I want to buy all the big
titty chicks a drink called panty remover. Of course you do. The problem is that it'll also be you know, ladies.
It still cracks me up that he's married with kids and he says stuff like this.
Yeah, like realistically, yeah, it's only a matter of time before that becomes an issue. 95% of tattoos are stupid, but yours are cool.
I'd have to get one first, but
that I've had the same problem, Atlas, where I look at it and I'm going, I want a cool tattoo, but at the same time I'm like, forever? I don't know. That seems weird, and at the same time I'm like, there's nothing really like. For a while, I was thinking of getting like the head of an elephant, but like really, really detailed. But detailed tattoos weren't a big thing, so I was like, I don't want somebody to screw up my tattoo. And like I had a friend who got like a Chinese character. It probably meant soup, but she was like, it means hope, and I'm like, it doesn't, but that's fine.
Soup. Yeah,
and yeah, it was definitely soup. And the problem was that like it started to just bleed out. And she was like, oh, yeah, the guy that gave it to me said it might bleed out. And I'm like, okay, right there. So he's like, well, this might bleed out. Okay, let's stop. How do we do it so it doesn't bleed out? He goes, well, it has to be bigger. I'm like, okay, well, just don't get that tattoo. That's simple. Ta-da! You know, it's weird. Right?
I think if I was to get one, it'd probably be like the Earth Kingdom symbol or something from Avatar. I think.
Sure, that's
like
just the arrow, right?
No, that's cultural appropriation. I just want like the little like the kind of this thing. Yeah, when you got the swirl in the middle with the lines, the Earth Kingdom tattoo.
It's a cool tattoo. See, that's the thing is there's so much historic imagery that like realistically there are people who have tattoos because like there are certain symbols that have been appropriated throughout history for bad things, but used to mean nice things. So in one culture it means one thing, in another culture it does not mean the same thing. So
I know in Katie's case it's a whisk and a cupcake, or wait, no, other way around, cupcake whisk. But
oh yeah,
because she used to be a baker, so
On that, okay, hold on. Whisk, I like that. Cupcake
Yeah.
on the inside here.
On the wrist, yeah.
That's creative. See,
Yeah.
I saw somebody had a slice of cake on their neck, and I'm like, you have a problem. That's not
Yeah.
like having a full cake is like, I'm a baker. Having a slice of cake, I'm just fat. Like that doesn't,
Yeah.
I don't, that doesn't, it just doesn't
So
compute.
wait, where does cupcake land on that?
Yeah, no, a cupcake is a full, like a cupcake is a full dessert. And I'm like, that makes
Yeah.
sense. But also too, like, I saw a guy who had like the outline, like lips, like someone who had kissed their lips with heavy lipstick. That was the tattoo, like in color. It was like bright red, and I'm like, okay, that's a choice. And he's like, yeah, man. And I'm like, why do you always smell like weed? That's fine. Like just. And he's like, no, I don't really smoke. I'm like, okay.
Is this a show about how lame you guys are? I just saw the title. I'm not one of the opine that once you get married, the party has to stop. I mean, it's not so much that.
No.
It's just like in the case of parties, it was always usually with other comedians in LA.
Yeah.
And almost always it involved like smoking weed. And I wish that was what was being offered in high school, because when I was in high school,
Yeah,
weed was medicinally legal, but it wasn't quite like the thing. It was always the get the booze, and like getting wasted isn't fun to me compared to just getting stoned, I think.
True. And see, but also too, like my in the great words of Theo Von,
responsibly, of course, do responsibly. Yeah.
What's the fun in that? Yeah, in the words of the great Theo Von, my favorite type of weed was definitely cocaine. So that's that's a whole other party, right? And it's not even that. It's not being lame. I'm like, it's more so I'm like, I just can't be bothered, right? And now I'm like, I wanna live and have a liver that works. Yeah. So last night I'm at this cover band thing.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, hey, you want to do some shots? And I'm like, no, I'm a loser. And they're like, come on, like, how about a seltzer? I'm like, I'm not gonna touch a guy's wiener. I'm like, I'm not drinking seltzer. That's just weird. Like, it's not, If you're like, have a White Claw, I'm like, ew, gross. Because my drink of choice was a double Ryan ginger in a highball glass, which was delicious, and I miss it so very much. You need a couple days a month where you get completely irresponsible, at least.
Maybe,
and
yeah.
if you match it up to your lady's time, it can be a real party. Somebody can get stabbed. It's good.
I want to be around chicks doing shots, but I don't want to do the shots myself. Yeah, exactly. Why not? I mean, like,
yeah.
I recently learned that my dad was way cooler than I thought he was.
Oh, really?
So like now that he's 70 and has Parkinson's,
that's a lot. Like
71 actually.
He doesn't give a shit. Like he's
so
like,
he is out of fucks to give. So I am getting pure unfiltered just stories of like his 20s.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, you did so much more cool shit. Example, one time he did mushrooms while going to see T-Rex live in the 60s. And he was like, we came back from the show. I sat down on the couch and the ceiling looked like lava.
Yeah, it seems fair.
Yeah.
That's a good time.
Yeah, like, well, especially because like he was going to Columbia in the late 60s, early 70s. So he was seeing all these bands just performing around. Or he could be lying through his teeth. I don't know. I wasn't there. But
no, but that's the thing is there was a greater chance of you seeing bands like that than like that time specifically in history over any other time, right? Yeah. And also too, like they would play to those crowds. They would go out of their way to play for those crowds as an investment in their future. Whereas now they just charge everybody an exorbitant amount. And you're like, yeah, I'm not going to pay that money. They can eat shit and die, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's a weird because even now, like what was it? There was a whole thing about Taylor Swift and Beyonce's tickets were like $700-$800, $900. You're like, no, just if I like honestly, like if Victoria was like, oh, I want to go see Beyonce, and I'm like, no, we're not going to that. That's a ridiculous use of resources.
There's that, and then there's the whole thing where like because it's so expensive, people, so I've heard, are going to Taylor Swift shows and wearing a diaper because you don't want to miss anything.
Which is like
was amazing for concerts and festivals. I agree, except
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I wish I was. Almost all of my music taste comes from that, like from about 1970 to about 1999 in terms of like new music. That's where most of my
it was a good time for music, man.
Yeah.
Even and you know what? It's regardless of genre, everyone was pumping out real good music during that time. And that's the thing is like there were new stuff, old stuff. It's all good, right? And also, see, like,
that's
if I'm
not to
paying
say that
$900, like I spent $600 on there was VIP, unlimited booze, unlimited food, backstage interview with the producer for a Game of Thrones orchestra at a stadium.
Cool.
So we had like upfront seats. I got a picture on the throne, like wild stuff. And I must have drank in like 4 bottles of wine. Like I was in rough shape. Oh yeah, no, it was super cool. And I'm like, yeah, we spent, I think it was 6. Yeah, go for it. Hold on. There. We spent like $650 for each ticket. But it was a super cool experience. I don't think Victoria had a good time because I was smashed. But like, yeah, like guy, we had all sorts of gourmet food in the back, and they walked us through. I saw Taylor Swift.
No, go to the bottom one. Go to the bottom one.
All right. I have the picture. Hold on. Now I gotta find the picture somewhere.
Oh my god. The last concert that I went to was the Elton John one from the famous got my mom the tickets and then she bailed out on me. That was 2019 though. I haven't been to a concert since then.
Does that mean we went to the same concert? Like his final, it was the Yellow Brick Road?
That tour, yeah.
Okay, so that's the one I saw in Manchester.
Yeah.
It was a good tour. It was great.
It was great. No, great show, but just one of those things where I had to awkwardly sit next to the guy I scalped the ticket to. You know, things happen.
Yeah, that's a pretty weird situation. But
in terms of like partying now, like Katie's not really much of a partier. My sister is getting married in about 2 weeks, and me and my brother-in-law's 2 siblings were marrying them. So like I'm doing the opening remarks, and then like the brother is doing like the middle portion, and then the other sister is doing the like I now rings, vows, I now pronounce you husband and wife, blah blah blah. So we had this whole meeting where it's like, okay, we're gonna come up here and we're gonna do the thing, and then like once we marry them, it's in this big courtyard, so you just walk across the courtyard for the reception. And I guarantee you, because this is my sister we're talking about, it's going to be like, okay, everything has to go exactly right at exactly the right time. And it's just like, these people are getting married in their 30s. I don't think that it's going to be like a rager, you know?
Not, you know what? I've been to a few weddings of people in their 30s, and me is okay. Like it was went to Ugly Kid Joe a couple weeks ago, but left early because my feet hurt. It's because you're old, brother.
Yeah, we used to party. We used to party.
Yeah. Ed Sheeran because no one would go. Yeah, that would have been a cool concert, right? It's a weird pairing. Alicia Keys. Apparently, Ed Sheeran is very talented, but at the same time, I feel like he would steal your soul by direct eye contact because he's like super ginger.
Bad habits suck your soul. Doing
an LA trip, you got to get ready, bro. We decided. Yeah, that's fair.
Also, when he says we, does he mean him and his family, or you two?
Maybe us two. I don't remember. We talked about a lot. This was the picture that I got. So I've worn that now, and that suit fits significantly better than it did there. But that is me at the Game of Thrones thing.
This looks like when a toddler is like put like it's the like cardboard cutout, and they like put your head through the hole. Like, look at that. Your head doesn't fit the rest of your body.
And now my head is too big for my body. I don't know what's happening.
I think it's arguably better for your head to be too big for your body.
Probably. Who knows?
Well, because you get more of this thing instead of like it helps with the apple shape if it's too big for.
Who knows?
Nothing will make you feel weight gain or loss than a suit. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
definitely.
I have a few suits that I haven't worn since like 2015 that like never fit properly, but now they're like extremely loose, and I'm just like, fuck, this is a good suit, man. I don't want to throw it away. YouTube meetup for some sort. Yeah. We were talking about that.
Oh yeah, because we're all YouTubers
Yeah.
now. Like even separately from Generation Dan.
No, well, that's the best part. Like, so, what's his face? Cole is getting up there in. I think he cracked 400 recently.
Wow,
And
that's pretty cool.
I'm up to 291. Like, I've gained like 90 in the last 28 days. So
I get like one
good.
every couple days or so. Like
Nice.
it's going up little by little by little.
You just got to find something, right, that makes sense. And like right now, it's booming. So thankfully,
no, it's all like sketches about having epilepsy. Or recently, I've been doing a lot of song parodies. But
that's a real talent, right? Like that's. Oh well, I have to ask a question. Like at parties, did you ever bring guitar? Because
no.
Okay.
No.
Right. Okay. Good.
Don't do that.
The fit of a nice tailored suit.
Also, I was a bass player, so how do you go and it's like, all right, I'm gonna do the Gallop from the Trooper by Iron Maiden.
No, it'd be like all like Seinfeld little. That's people like fall down the stairs.
Oh my god! I still own my. It's at my at Katie's parents' house. I have to do that, right?
Yeah, I think that's only fair. Shorts get the same.
Guy who brings bass guitar to a party.
Yeah.
Or I could just go to my dad's house because he has a bunch of guitars and basses. I need
to just to mock people at this point.
Yeah,
right?
No, it's good.
Right. But that's the thing is, you need shorts are like
I know that's
enjoyable, right? Because it's you make people feel good.
Well, because also like it's easier to come across where. If you're just watching it, you got to hope that this part on the side, the recommendations, recommends you, and then they click on it. Shorts, it just kind of gets put in your face.
Yeah.
So like, there's a chance that you could just be put in someone's face, and they're like, "Oh, cool!" Like,
so I have a bad habit. I don't know if you guys do this, but I doom scroll constantly, right? Like especially before bed, I'll just do.
Yeah.
So Victoria woke up because she heard something at like 4:00 in the morning. She went to go check on it. Everything was fine. Came back and she's like, she can hear me like I'm breathing like I'm asleep.
Yeah.
But she can see me with my phone in my hand and I'm still scrolling. She's like, that's not healthy. And I'm like,
oh, like you were asleep and the muscle memory was doing it? That's really funny.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh well.
Oh, see, I thought it was like the kind of thing like where you sneak your Game Boy Color into your bed with the flashlight. And, like your parents come in, what the fuck? It's 2 a.m, and you're like,
that happens all the time. She'll wake up in the middle of the night. She's like, "Why are you still awake?" And I'm like,
"What? I am."
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, that's the weird thing is like this is the like since I've been losing weight, I stopped snoring and I'm getting better sleep. Right. So also, I remember going out and partying probably at my heaviest around 2019. I went to Montreal with my 2 of my nephews, and like that's the thing is like. We have like 4 to 6 years difference. So I'm like, this is the first time that now we're kind of all adults and all bets are off. Like we just go do stuff and it's fine. Yeah. So we went to Montreal. One of them was visiting from Greece. So I rented a car and we just went to Montreal and it was just, things were done. But the crazy part was like, we got home and it was like, we're going to sleep for 4 or 5 hours and then go. I fell asleep and they were like, Guy, it was a chainsaw that could have like woke the dead. And I'm like, sorry about that. They're like, we're never going to be in the same room as you again to sleep. And I'm like, that's probably good advice. Like the people on either room on this outside of us probably did not sleep from my snoring, which I'm like, so God, I miss snoring.
You miss snoring?
No, it's just the idea of just being loud while I'm asleep. It keeps the predators away. It's come on.
Oh my god. What was the like craziest party you went to in high school or college?
High school was a guy challenged me to a drinking contest, which immediately like that's number one, that's a very high school thing, but also two, it's
you. Come on. Like
wow.
Because you were that big. You were like big for the people around you even back then.
I was like 300 pounds in high school, and I was like and I was also like working out daily. I was on the wrestling team. Like I was dangerous to be around.
Yeah, don't fuck around with high school Dino. That's a bad idea.
Me and this guy, so he was like the next biggest guy in the
school. Oh, okay. So he's got something to prove.
Oh, constantly. And I would smack the shit out of him constantly. And so me and him would fight against a bunch of guys in a younger grade, and it would be like 12 of them versus us. I'd take on like 10 and he'd take 2. And I'd just be throwing little boys around, and I'm like, whatever. Da, 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 da. And bro, I got giant ridiculous party stories from many different states. Well, that's the military. We weren't that.
We gotta like as much as he drives me up a fucking wall, we should probably have him back for that.
Absolutely. But that was the thing. So he was like, we're gonna have a drink. He goes, I'm gonna drink here on the table. I'm like, that's probably not gonna work. And so we bought tequila, and I did. So we finished a 40-ounce bottle of tequila, and then they went and got another Mickey, and I finished that by myself. So I had 22 ounce-and-a-half shots of tequila in about 45 minutes.
Okay. And so for people who are like, how much is that? If you have had that much tequila, if the song Tequila comes on, you're going to be like, da 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 da. Mojito, like you're just not there anymore.
That's pretty accurate. So
yeah,
after the 45 minutes, he was on the ground throwing up. I was like, I'm okay. And about 20 minutes after that, apparently I was sitting on a plastic chair, and then I just got up I got up so fast, which, you know, not known for my speed, but I got it so fast that the chair like went flying. I ran towards a fence, a wooden fence, and a girl who I still know, like as I was going, because I was going like head first into it, she just like kind of put her hand under my chin and lifted my head up. So I went up, and then just went, and I ruined the next door neighbor's rose bush, like just. Like it was like
hey, you know what? That's biodegradable. You probably like good fertilizer or whatever.
Maybe. So then from that point, I have no idea what. Like I just blacked out. But I was walking around and just talking shit, and the guy who I drank under the table, he also too, as a guy who saved himself for marriage, he opened a condom and put it in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I grabbed one girl's tit, and she wasn't even a pretty girl. I don't even know about that. And so
God forbid she ever listens to this show, is like, hey, I remember that. Whatever. Yeah.
She didn't even have big ditties. It was weird. But anyway, so in the end, my brother had dropped me off so he could go see his girlfriend. And then when he came to pick me up, I was sitting on their couch, but like the top of my body was like splayed over the coffee table, and I was just dry heaving. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But I was like, there was no more, like I was just slowly sobering up.
You were out of vomit.
I was out of vomit. It was all over those rose bushes. Like I honestly, it was very much like the one of the scenes where the xenomorph just like and everything just starts melting. That was kind of what happened. So just put tequila.
I just love the idea of you like running toward the fence, and then the girl's like, "Oh, I know what's up," and then just kind of does that to your chin. Something happens, and I'm head over fence. I never find out.
Exactly. The funny
till I ruin the rose bushes. Yeah.
After I threw up there, I have the picture somewhere.
Yeah.
Where I came off, and it was her and another girl like were holding on to me, so I would throw up. And then when I turned around, they were like, "Oh, he's too heavy." And then I was kind of like falling onto them until a couple guys came over. And they're like, "Okay, we'll take over from there." So that I went home, went to bed. It was fine. And then like in the morning, I reached in my pants and found the open condom wrapper, and I was like, "Oh God, what have I done?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that night too, like I got little flashes in the morning, and one of them was like I'm walking around and I lean on it was the kitchen cupboard, and I'm like leaning, and the whole thing is moving, and I'm like, I just need to get my balance. And the girl whose house it was like, "Hey, you need to go lie down." And I'm like, no, I'm good here. It's fine. And she's like, no, please don't break my kitchen. I'm like, no, I'm good. Everything's fine. Right. And so I found that, and I'm like, my head is racing as to what happened.
Yeah.
No idea what happened. First thing in the morning, Monday, that girl who I grabbed her tit, she's like, hey, do you know what you did to me? And I'm like, no. And she's like, you grabbed my tit. I'm like, oh, who gives a shit, loser?
Yeah.
Like, I have bigger problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was as a young person, that was
Craziest party.
a crazy party. Then after that, in college, I had lost. So my last year of high school, like 2 months before I graduated, I lost 90 pounds.
Wow.
So that was the smallest I ever was technically as an adult, and that was 242, which I'm, I feel more healthy right now than I do, which I'm down to 170 as of Friday.
Wait, what?
Or 270, not 170.
Yeah, I was like, how the fuck? Yeah.
It's like I chopped off my legs. No, so becoming a centaur.
Yeah.
So that one was weird because I had like lost all the weight, but I was still like a fat guy inside.
Mhm.
So I was just walking around like we would have like pub nights in the student union building.
Yeah.
Because they had a brand new bar entertainment center thing. So I would get a pitcher of beer for like $10, and then I'd walk around just drinking from the pitcher.
Mhm.
And then the waitresses would be like, "You're not allowed to do that." And I'm like, "Cool." I'm like, not one. I'm like, no one here can stop me. I'm like, it's not. They're like, we have security. I'm like, oh yeah. I go, hey security, you want to stop me? And they're like, no. I'm like, yeah, thank you. I'm like, let's just relax. Here, mine.
Yeah.
You can refill it and you can wash it at the end of the night. That's cool.
Yeah.
Don't try and make it so
it's a receptacle that's proportionally accurate to my size. Just
also true.
Like,
I was like, and I was like, I had a cool leather jacket, and I'm like, I had a brand new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo. I'm like, no, I'm hot shit. Don't fucking try and like, you want to ban me? I'm like, okay, watch how that goes. I'm like, I'll burn this place to the ground. I don't give a shit. I'm like, that's not, it's great. That night I was drunk and I kept on referring to girls as meat. And it was very misogynistic.
Meat?
Meat.
Oh
That's correct.
Yeah.
And then one girl danced with me, and like the other girls that were around us were kind of looking at her funny. And I was like, hey, what's up? And like, because I didn't know what I was doing. I was a fat guy. I'm like, I'm like, you want me to touch your lady wiener? And I didn't know what was happening, but she's like, no, I have a boyfriend. I'm like, then why are you humping my leg? That's weird. And then the next day she was like, so I broke up with my boyfriend. And I'm like, okay. And I just walked away. Apparently that was a thing. And I'm like,
turns out confidence is sexy.
Yeah. That's
all
who
you
knew?
incels out there. Yeah. Because like I was told that from like 8th grade onward. Girls like confidence or whatever. But like I kind of wish they could just go, you can just pretend you have it and then eventually you'll have it. Like fake it till you make it works there for the most part.
Oh, for sure. Well,
yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, there's a certain level of fake they make it.
There are some things,
people, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, but when it comes to like just being sure of yourself and like being comfortable in your skin, you can definitely fake that till you make it. You can't do it with like, I don't know, being good at like flying an airplane. You can't really fake that till you make it. That sort of stuff.
Like there's a sweet spot of you can fake it, and then it's like, no, I can't fake this part. This is the landing. I cannot fake that.
The craziest party I ever went to was so it was in high school, and it was the graduation was on the Monday.
Okay.
And it was the last day of school on the Friday. So that whole weekend was just wacko. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
It was like a 3-day long bender across West LA of like all these different houses and stuff. So like we would hear of like, oh, this party is this night, this party is this night, maybe they're competing with each other, whatever. So like it wasn't the entire school, but you'd have like a good chunk of it. I went to like a 2,800 person high school.
Yeah,
pretty big.
I thought you were gonna say 2,800 person party, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
No, I'm saying like even having a quarter of the school is still a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was around the time where there were these two girls who would hang out with me because I turned 18 before they did. So they had me buy them cigarettes because I'm a whore. I
Standard.
thought they were cute, whatever. So I went with them to this party, and was hanging out with them. I was smoking weed. One of them was one of them was drinking, one of them wasn't. And the cops, like bust up the party. So everyone go over the fence and that kind of stuff. And one of the girls was kind of big and was having trouble getting over the fence. So I kind of did what your friend did, where I kind of just pushed him over the fence just in time to get caught by the cops afterward.
You're like a saint, Atlas. You're like a saint of the high school.
So like the two girls got over the fence, and then I was
caught red-handed.
Caught red-handed, but they got me, and like I passed all the sobriety tests because like
you're just high.
I was high, and then also it just wasn't. It didn't show on me very well. Like the main thing when I get wasted, I flush red. Yeah. When I'm high, I'm just kind of doing this. But because it was such a hot, this is like late mid-June, right?
They were doing the same thing. They're like,
they're like, it's so fucking hot. they were just like, can you do the thing? I was like, I can do the thing, do the steps, and they're like, all right, go. Like, because that was it. But it was just the kind of thing where I was very lucky that I was able to pass for sober, and also that I was a white guy. Imagine how much worse that could have gone for me.
That's just in general, right? Like, but realistically, see, that's the like up here in Canada, we're new to racism. It's back when I was young, nobody cared. Now everyone cares. Yeah, well, no, I'll be honest with you, is that like I look back on it and I'm like, in the 90s and early 2000s, nobody cared. Like, super sexist. There was definitely like well, that's a girl thing to do and that's a guy thing to do. But
that's so gay, stuff like that.
Oh, listen, right? If anything, I want to bring that back because it was so much fun. That and calling people retard. You're like, yeah, I don't call somebody who Down syndrome retard. What am I, a piece of shit? No, I call my dumb friends a retard because they're retarded.
I do kind of miss it for ideas or things.
Oh yeah,
that I think needs to be a thing, and like not focus it on people, but focus it on like ideas.
For sure, but even still, calling something retarded or gay had nothing to do with sexuality or somebody's mental ability. Like no,
until it was like there were some people who were saying that homophobic. I'm saying they ruined it for the rest of us.
100% true.
Yeah,
100% true. Yeah. I don't even know. Like honestly, my high school had like 1,000 people or like 900 people, and I knew like almost everybody in that school. But at the same time, like I just love talking to people because I'm a social butterfly, right? But and then I was also like I was the biggest guy in school, so everyone liked Dino. It was great until Dino was like, "I'm gonna rip the bones from your flesh," and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "You have angered the monster."
We all hang out with Dean. No.
Horrible.
I'm getting better at this.
You are. Yeah. It is a real talent. Let's be honest. Like, and the fact is, like, you could be the new Justin Bieber. Be great.
New Weird Al.
That would be a much better achievement.
Like, he's getting up there. He's getting old. It's
listen.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen. Did you see the one with Daniel Radcliffe? Because I heard he did a great job.
What?
Daniel Radcliffe.
The movie with Daniel. Yeah. No, I haven't. I heard it was good though.
Yeah, so did I. Like that's the thing is we only just started going to see movies again. Like that's the thing is when you're not fucking everything or doing drugs and stuff and you're trying to be a good person, like parties aren't a huge component of youth. So it was like we went to the movies and we hung out and watched movies at home and we went to coffee houses and I'm like it was for losers. But at the same time, in my 30s, it was like, hey, like I actually, you know what? I have a good story of when I was just after I had separated from my ex-wife. My buddy was in McMaster. I think it's McMaster. It's McMaster. I don't know. It's a university that's out of Hamilton. shout out to Hess Village. Hess Village is where all the young people party. And so I was older than everyone else, but at the same time, like my hair had grown. So my hair was quite long, like fairly long. My beard was long and scraggly, but I didn't have any gray in it. And it was this time of year where it was like it was too cold to not wear a coat, but not cold enough to have coat check. So like someone like me, I wore a sweater and I had a light coat and I'm like, I'm fine. But like women who are in scantily clad outfits, they were cold. And that night, a buddy of mine, he was like, man, I just can't believe that you're like just coming out and partying, like you're going through all this shit. And I'm like, I just want to have a good time, man. So we went and I'm with 3 guys and we're just kind of standing there talking and everything. And this a young girl who definitely not my type or anything, but I was like maybe 17, 18, which I'm like jailbait. No, thank you. Right. But she like made eye contact with me and I smiled because I'm like, I'm a nice bear. I will not eat you. Right.
I'm a nice bear.
Yeah. And she looked at me and she's like, you can keep me warm, teddy bear. And I was like, I don't know how to respond to that. So I was like, cool. And just turned around and my buddy's like, go talk to her. I'm like, hey man, I'm not really in a state to go like hang out with ladies. That's not really, you know. But and they were all mad at me. But at the same time, I was like, I don't know.
Could have avoided being, having what's his name, Chris
Hansen.
Yes, Chris Hansen.
Well,
let's take a seat right there.
Numerous issues, like because at the same time, like that may have helped getting over my ex-wife, but at the same time, probably would have resulted in a horrible experience.
I do think that's a thing, but like I think men just aren't complimented enough. Boys, yes, but like men,
oh no.
Even just being I like your shirt. Oh, yay! Thank you. Like it just follows you around all day. It sticks to you. It's nice.
I was talking to Marco about this. I'm like, do you not have a compliment from a woman that like you'll keep in just in the back of your mind? So like on a bad day, you're like, I remember I had that.
Yeah,
man.
Everyone's every guy has one of those.
So the funny thing was that like so just before I left for Manchester, like the same day we were running around just doing errands. And I was like, you know what? Let me go into the fat guy store and buy a couple dress shirts just so I have them because I'm like, I'm still a weird size, so I can't really get a good fitting dress shirt unless I got it from the fat guy store.
Yeah.
And I walk in and I'm like, hey, that's Neil. This guy Neil I haven't seen in 15 years.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, I'd know his face anywhere. So I walk over to him and he's like, oh, excuse me. And I'm like, hey, Neil? He's like, yes. I'm like, it's Dino. And he's like, oh my God, you look so different. And I was like, thanks. So nice. And then like today,
imagine if that got worse. You look so different. Thanks.
What happened to your face?
Like, yeah. Oh. Like what's wrong with you? Like it just takes a left turn.
So yeah. That would have been much worse. Yeah. And then today, we were just out for dinner with some friends, and I was like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. I went, came back, and as I was walking back, it was down a hallway. And when I sat down, the woman who's our friend, she was like, hey, I saw you walking. And I was like, oh, who is that? Like, I couldn't even recognize your silhouette.
Yeah.
Because you've changed so much. And I was like, thanks.
Girl, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for noticing. So cool. Yeah. But like, yeah, that's happening a lot right now. And I'm just like, you know, on one side, I'm like, damn, I was really fat. On the other side, I'm like, hey, I'm doing something. It's nice.
No, it's definitely nice to have the like, even like, I don't have a lot of confidence in regards to like not doing stand up, but like getting work and getting on shows and things like that. But when people go like, that was fucking amazing, that was a great set, and it's not just some dick at the open mic, it's somebody who like wasn't there to see you. They either came to see somebody else and like they like seek you out. Yeah. Like you're like waiting in line in the bathroom and they like turn you around to be like, loved your set, man. And you're like,
huge.
Oh, thank you. Like, yeah.
It's definitely one of those things where like I've tried to normalize that with people. Like, so I try and normalize being honest with people, And like, the only problem is like, I'll be like, hey man, that was a great set. And another person's like, how was mine? And I'm like, oh, let's not do that. I'm like, come on, you sucked, right? But like, I won't tell them they suck, but I'll be like, don't fish for compliments. Just don't do that, right? And in turn, like, but then other guys are like, let's normalize hugging. You're like, don't touch me, please don't touch me. Don't touch me. That's not. I don't want to normalize that.
There's this like, I'm not that much of a hugger, but like, there, friend of mine, shout out to Robert, is this big black guy with an afro. He's like 6'3", and he gives the best fucking hugs in the universe. I do not feel safer than when I'm in the arms of Robert. I hope you listen to this show.
We'll just send that to him, like, just so you know, Robert.
Yeah, because I'm starting to do little like clips just to put on again, right? Because we did that for a time.
Yeah,
and then
it's just a lot of work, and also too, like, it didn't really do much. So I'm like,
yeah,
but
I need to. I'll try and do like 1 or 2 a week just to have like
even just one, it's worthwhile. Just shout out to Robert and then tag him in it. He gives the best hug.
Yeah,
he gives you a little squeeze on the back end. You're like, it's nice. It's not in a rapey way. In a hey, good meat. And you're like, oh, thanks. It's just in case.
Back to meat again.
And it was, you know what? It was a weird time, the 90s. I'll tell you that much. It was just, you could do it. Look, there was no evidence of anything. Nothing, the internet didn't exist. Like, there was, people were like, there's this thing called the internet. Yeah, but you need, like, you got to go to the computer lab and the whole thing. Right?
Have you partied with Gen Z before?
Okay. So, the same month that I went to Montreal with my 2 nephews, was my niece, who's in Woodbridge. She was getting married.
Okay.
So they were like, hey, do you want to come to the bachelor party? I'm like, I would love to come to the bachelor party because I'm a good time. And at the end of the night, so he had all his boys going, and it was me and these 2 nephews went as well. And actually, one of the nephews, the other one didn't come. He had to bounce. And these guys at the end of the night were like, we ended up at a place called Zet's. Shout out to Zet's. It's a 24-hour diner that's right by the airport, which by the airport also has a lot of places that you could party. Now, that being said,
see, LA just has the In-N-Out by the airport. That's like the only major like cool thing. But
you need 24-hour diners everywhere. Right?
You do, definitely.
The only bad party is when it's filled with cops and you're like, no, I've been doing bad things. I don't want to hang out with cops now. Right? So we sat there and all these guys were like, man, that was some pretty hefty partying. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, what? And I look at my nephew who's from Greece and I'm like, should you tell him or should I? And he goes, no, you tell him. I go, listen, man. I go, you can party and it's fine. But if you're not watching the sunrise, you didn't go hard. Right. Which, like, a few times I did a comedy night, like we did shows before the pandemic, and they would be like, we would be partying, drinking and partying and partying. And then it's like, it's 7:00. I'm like, oh, my wife's going to kill me when I walk in the door. I'm just like, okay, but that's the real line for me. I'm like, if you watch the sunrise, you had a good night.
That is definitely a sign of a good bender. Actually, by the time this drops, I'll have released, like, it'll probably be like overwritten by somewhere else, but it's on my YouTube channel where it's like insomnia when you're a kid versus insomnia as an adult. It's like when you're a kid, it's like, I played Mario 64 till 4 a.m. I'll take a nap during free period, and then as an adult, you're like, fuck, I gotta go to work now. Like, yeah,
which is horrible.
Yeah, so that's kind of what it is. Like, doing a bender in like high school or college, it's cool because you watch the sunrise and your next class isn't until 2 or whatever. And versus like just my sister and her soon-to-be husband, the night before the like meeting that we had about like the wedding, they apparently stayed up till 4, like drinking and stuff, and they're like, we cannot bounce back from that the way we used to, because they're like 32 now.
So, word of advice to everyone is Gatorade and ibuprofen. Gatorade,
ibuprofen, eat something that sticks to your ribs the night before. burger, Taco Bell.
Here's the thing though, is if depending on your body makeup, if you eat something like that after that night, you may not have a good sleep because you'll have a lot of acid reflux. So I would go Gatorade. So take 2 ibuprofen, urinate, then just before you urinate, you slam down the Gatorade, then you pee, go right to bed. When you wake up first thing in the morning, greasy spoon breakfast. And that's like eggs, bacon, sausage, fry bread, like all the good stuff. And by noon, you'll feel okay.
So you do it after as opposed to before. I always do it before I go to bed because it like soaks up the booze.
But it doesn't like I know that's how we're the idea of it, and that is what happens. The problem is that it made like you're in like remember I'm working on being 500-pound a 500-pounder.
Yeah.
So it's it's that at that size, if I ate just before going to bed, like I may not wake up, right? So having
I don't have much of an acid reflux problem, so that might be why.
But like if you don't, definitely eat something before. But I would like the best for that would be like a BLT, but like a BBBBBLT. So it's like a lot of bacon.
A BBBBBL. Fuck the tomato.
Yeah, well, actually, no. That's
or like a club sandwich. Club sandwich.
Oh yeah, club sandwich, definitely. But like you got to get like a club sandwich with like the middle.
Bacon.
Well, yeah, club sandwich with bacon, but I think a club sandwich has bacon. But
the
best part is like the middle slice of bread, have that be like a slice of fried bread, and that way it's like extra greasy and like put some hot mustard on there too.
Fuck yeah. Love.
Now I'm just living vicariously through other people. I'm like, I don't eat food anymore. I just smell it. Smells are calorie free. Just like delicious, you know?
Yeah. I don't know, or because I'm 29. This is the last year of Generation Dan having a 20-something host.
Yeah.
We're going to be 30 and 40-something starting next year. But the good thing is the generation, it's not like it, is based on the number of your age. It's when like just your experience, because like millennial was tied to zoomers for so long, where like the boomers are like, it's those damn millennials, and they're 16 right now. The youngest millennial is like 24, guys. Like you're a few years too late on that. But yeah, so the like even as we get older, it's still something to consider.
It's different. It's the generational gap and perspective is what matters the most, right? Like, and that's why is that at this point and I always found this was that as you get older, your beliefs and understandings do start to not waver, but adjust to new knowledge, right? New perspectives, like understanding that not every comment deserves a response. That's something you don't really know until you know, and when you do know, you're like, oh, this is much better existence, right? Like for me, as I knew that at a very young age, like you could say something positive or negative, and my response is, okay, thank you. Doesn't like when people are like, man, that was a killer set, thanks. It's like, oh man, you bombed. Okay, I don't need to get into the nitty gritty details with every person because I don't really care about their opinion, right? It's I get paid for the attempt, not for the outcome. It'd be nice if the outcome was great, but what are you gonna do? So, but that's like, and that's you kind of grow,
Which also means that the parties that we go to now are less ragers and more like dinner parties or Christmas, Thanksgiving, shit like that.
A couple times I've been over to people's houses and they're like, listen, the kids are staying with somebody else. We're going over for dinner. We're going back to the house. I have 3 bottles of scotch. We're going to have a good night. And I'm like, cigars? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And then in the morning we went for breakfast and we're like, we just crashed on the couches and just like, we had a good time.
Yeah.
And even to the point where one guy, it was his birthday. I was like, hey man, happy birthday. He's like, bro, he goes, I still think about that night. We got to do it again. I'm like, just say the word. No problem. Yeah. But like,
because that's where like you still get the like adrenaline rush without the hangover. Like you have less of a threshold of what is considered a good time, I think.
Well, and also too, like marijuana is legal now, so there's less of a stigma attached to it where I'm like, hey, I brought edibles for everybody. And people are like, ooh, so after dinner, we're going to go home and have some edibles. I'm like, we'll have them with our dessert. And by the time we get home, we'll be fucking retarded. It'll be great.
Yeah. So like we'll watch some movies, play some Cards Against Humanity, whatever. Yeah.
I have, you know what? There is more than once that we've played board games and stuff. Risk, Monopoly. I think
Wasted Risk sounds awesome. I have to try that.
You need kind of a game master to wrangle everyone or somebody.
Okay.
And you have to make sure that nobody, like, I've had people play Monopoly and they're like, well, I'm just not going to pay you. I'm like, no, you're out. You lose. They're like, no, I'm just not going to pay you so I can keep on playing. I'm like, no, you can't. That's not. You're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And like that ruins everything, right? So you have to have somebody who's like it's the whole idea, like, as I'm learning now because I'm reading the Dungeon Master book, is that you're there to make sure everyone has a good time and isn't too stupid to figure it out. Like, even if they are, you just guide them through gently, sometimes with a kick under the table, but still gently. It's about everyone having a good time, not about dosing people until they get ridiculous, which sometimes.
Yeah. So I guess what we can take as the lesson from this episode is party on. Yeah. Party on, lava sack not.
Absolutely. I forget what mine was, but it was good. So
God damn it. Wait. It was damn it. Elevating endothermic.
That's just factual.
Yeah. Elevating endothermic heat rises.
There you go.
So thanks everybody for listening. If you liked the episode, leave a like. If you didn't like it, tell us in the comments what we can do better, or tell us about the craziest party you've ever gone to.
Or you can leave a comment, let us know how I look. Did I have a really small head for my giant body? That's a fair question. It's a fair question. It's important. People want to know. But,
so you can find us on Twitter, Instagram at Generation Dan. And then where can they find you, Dino?
At Dino the Genetic Marvel. I'm currently learning how to do a pull-up or chin-up. I'm not sure. I don't know these things. I'm just following the steps. It's getting better. I can almost hold myself hanging from my arms for almost 30 seconds now. But I'm on day 24, and it's progressively getting better. So
not bad.
Yeah.
You can find me at Atlas Novak on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. I have an account. I don't really use it. And then you can also find me on YouTube at The Epileptic Comic, or check out my other podcast, Nexus at Night, which is about a trading card game called Vanguard. If you don't really play or don't care about it, that's completely understandable. So
we are going to bust out a game of that at his wedding, so don't worry.
No. Fuck you. Root Beer and Matt are coming to my wedding. If they bust out cards, I'm hitting them over the head with a blunt.
They're going to teach me. We're going to have a great time. We're going to go in the back, do it for shots. It'll be great.
Okay, for sure. I always wanted to try that, where every time you take a damage, you drink. Every time you heal, your opponent drinks. Anyway,
that's feasible.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.